Hey kids, welcome back to Worth the Spin. It's your host, Just Jack. Sporting my, I don't know if I showed this or not yet, I think I did, but this is my Christmas scarf I got this year. Pretty awesome. So Christmas scarf goes, Beatles scarf goes good any time of the year, any occasion, like a video. Alright, welcome back. Alright, so we looked at my UK copies, of Beatles albums, which is my most proudest possession because American fan, got to go to Europe, actually go through some used record stores and buy some Beatles records as if I were there at the time. Alrighty, so now we've looked at all those. We looked at my UK albums, the singles, and EPs. The most exciting thing I own, the bestest thing I own as far as the Beatles is concerned. Now we're going to look at my American albums, which are not as exciting, I have to admit. Number one, we don't have all the variations and all that kind of stuff like that you do and the people who are in the UK do. Ours is just pretty much straightforward. Pick a bunch of songs and slap them on an album, put too much reverb on them, and sell them. So they're not as great a condition as I would hope. I mean, you could go online and buy some of these albums like pristine mint, for $300, $400, which is insane. But if you want to, go right ahead. I won't say some of the businesses that I've seen that sell them for that kind of money. But hey, if you got that kind of money and it's that important for you, for yours being 110% on played, go right ahead. Go right ahead. But to me, the ones that any local record stores or record shows is good enough. I'm basically, like I said, I'm kind of rebuilding, and I've shared this before for anybody who's new to the channel. I first became a Beatles fan in '73 when my two sisters came and said, "Hey, we're tired of you listening to the music you're listening to. Here's something new for you, something better to listen to." And it was that fantastical The Beatles 1967 through 1970 that was just released around that time, and they had bought that for me along with a Monkees record, a couple other ones, Debbie Boone and some other stuff, but probably shouldn't go down that road, I guess. And anyway, so I fell in love with the Beatles then, and I just kind of, as I went to when I was a kid, and yard sales and church bag sales and stuff like that, and picked up what few Beatle records I could find. They weren't not super hard to get back then, but they weren't. In the area I lived was a rural area, so it's not like I was in the city around record stores and stuff like that where it was easier to find that stuff. Mainly, I saved my fantastical $2 a week allowance up long enough to get a Beatles album at the local Walmart, which was about $6 brand new at the time, and they were on the purple label. I think I had a couple orange. I think they were on a purple label at the time. I don't have my original collection. Had sold off years ago. Child who was sick and stuff. And when you're a father, that's what you do. You sell all your stuff for a child, and that's what you do. It's just the way the world works. Anyway, down the road, years and years down the road, and probably 5 years ago or so, my wife got me the new release of the Beatles White Album because we were at Walmart and I saw it. I'm like, this is my all-time favorite Beatle album, and I didn't have any records at the time and been out of them for years. And she got me a turntable for Christmas, not a box turntable Crosby deal, and because who knew if I was going to actually listen to records again or not. And boom, today we have too many Beatle records. I say that, but we don't have too many. Anyway, let's move on. That's where we're at. We're going to look at the American ones. Ours don't stand up to test of time very well because they are made of cardboard and they are shuffled around a lot. So they get a lot of damage to them. And usually used albums I see have a lot of damage. I find some that look really awesomely good. But, the cover doesn't matter in the end. It's just something to keep housed in the good sweetness that is a Beatles record from getting all messed up. And as long as the record is near mint, or plays without a ton of garbage or scratches or jumps, you've got a winner. So up first we have Meet the Beatles. So this is an awesome fun. This is an actual true first pressing. See a lot of people online selling first pressing Beatle released albums, especially Meet the Beatles and the White Album, and all of their Meet the Beatles have ASCAP or BMI or a mixture thereof next to the song titles. If yours has that, it's not a true first pressing. True first pressing does not have that. Anyway, this one does not have that. This is the front cover. And this is the Stasi back cover with no George Martin credit. The original inner sleeve is going to be the blue one. This is case. A lot of people are going, yeah, I know. But somewhere out there, someone's looking at this going, oh, did not know. So the inner sleeves are kind of tricky. Capitol switched them around, and people who own the records mixed them up. So you don't always get the original inner sleeve with the record you buy. So you want to kind of watch out for that. If you really want it to be 100% matchy. If not, who cares? Alright, this is it. So I got this one, and this is pretty much near mint. Sounds fantastico. It's the first pressing because it does not have any ASCAP or BMIs next to these song titles. There's your side B. Alright, this sounds great. And I got a sonic cleaner for Christmas, and if you're wondering, yes, they're worth it. Yeah, I've seen some little chunks of stuff from records I've cleaned with my spin clean in the bottom of this thing. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that stuff was still on this record. So that's crazy how clean they get them. Unfortunately, if your album jumps to a certain extent, it's just going to stay jumpied. Alright, so I have mono and stereo copies of almost everything. Meet the Beatles, and I think the Beatles Story is the only two that I do not have stereo copies of yet. Apologize. So getting over this this operation thing, and now I've gotten a cold flu, something. So I'm working on getting over that too. But it is good. Alright, this is my mono second album, and it is in very nice condition. And most of my albums are all Scranton pressings. I don't know why, but they are. It was not chosen me by that way. When I found decent looking copies, I bought them, and I didn't worry about what pressing plant they were done at. But I'm told Scranton is probably the best sounding of the American Beatle albums. So your inner sleeve will look like this. It's kind of a variation of the blue. It's a little darker blue. But all the stuff as far as album-wise down on here is exactly the same. It just has a bit of a darker tint, almost like kind of a purplish tint to it. So if inner sleeves and stuff matter to you, then that's where you are. I kind of like to have mine to be original too, so some of them will not have inner sleeves, and that's because I don't have the correct one. So they either get mixed up by people usually switching records in or out or stuff like that. I find a lot of records at times that the album covers do not match up with the album itself. As far as like version wise, they'll say the cover should have this on it or that on it, and they don't have it on there. So apparently somewhere along the line somebody switched covers. So that does happen. So this is my mono second Beatles album. Has a few light surface scratches, but it sounds really good, and that's what matters. I don't trip up over surface scratches. Some people will pay that extra $100, $150, $200 to have one that's 110% mint, and more power to you. I'm a working man. I work with a working man's budget. This is my stereo, first pressing of the Beatles' second album. Front and back covers are pretty much the same. So along with the labels on the record, there's not a lot of difference to show here, other than one will obviously not have stereo on it because it's mono, and the stereo will have stereo on there. This one here, somebody had a hard time finding the spindle holder. As you can see, this looks near mint other than that, but somebody really was on the struggle bus with this because they scuffed it up pretty bad. So either they put their records on in the dark or they were blind. Alrighty, this would be my third Beatles second album. This is a stereo, and this is the same as the other covers, other than this is on the Apple label. Nothing too exciting to see there. Move on to my mono, A Hard Day's Night. As you know, it's a United Artists production, so it's a little bit different than the Capitol ones. And inner sleeve for this should be United Artists white. And they are tough to find, these United Artists inner sleeves. Most of the time I will see them, they will have capital sleeves in them for some odd reason. I think it's record stores switching them out, not knowing that they should have the United Artists sleeve in there. Let me tell you a secret. Not all record stores know what they're doing. Alright, this would be my label, and this is a near mint copy, and it sounds great. Had some interactions with some record stores yesterday and found out just how low they will go to get your records so they can sell them at a much higher price. So looking at my record buying from places a whole lot differently from here on out. This would be my stereo copy of A Hard Day's Night. And I don't think I have the correct inner sleeve for this. Like I said, those United Artists sleeves are just tough to get, yeah. So there's no sleeve in here. If there's not, that means I got one that had a wrong sleeve in it and I took it out. And I'm still looking, because sometimes you could find excess excess sleeves, or you get a record that has a wrong sleeve in it and it'll match the record that you got at home. So then I kind of switch it out, and I don't keep them in the sleeve in those original sleeves anyway, because it causes surface scratching. I put them in these rice paper thingies like most people do. This would be my stereo Hard Day's Night, and yeah, it's pretty much a minty record. So, alright, moving on to something new. This would be my mono copy. Back cover is going to look like this, I'm sure you know. Again, Scranton copy. 99% I think of my American Beatle albums are Scranton copies. Just the way it worked out. And again, we're still working with the blue inner sleeves here. I think we keep the blue inner sleeves for another 3 or 4 albums. I don't always look at the inner sleeves, so I'm not as well versed on the inner sleeves as some people, because that stuff doesn't matter that much to me. And this is your label, and this is a near mint copy of Something New, which I always love this album. And on the fact that it starts with I'll Cry Instead, just, I don't know what it is, but it's a boom. You know, it just starts right on with like a big kick, man. And I don't know, it's always been one of my most favorite American Beatle albums. This would be my stereo copy of said album. All the stuff here is the same. Let's take a look. Yeah, still looking at the blue inner sleeve. Cover is the same, other than the fact that we signify that this is a stereo pressing and not a mono. Same with the record. Labels just stating stereo, otherwise we're looking at the same thing. So American albums, there's a little damage to the label too. Somebody wrote their name and then decided, I'm going to take my name off. Or somebody bought it and said, ooh, I don't know this guy. Somebody's going to think I stole this record. Here, let me erase this and destroy this album's label. It's just a guess. And this is my Something New stereo, which is an Apple pressing. I don't have all the Apple pressings. I need to look for them. This will be my mono Beatles Story. This is the outside, in case you're not familiar. And if you're still not familiar, this is the inside gatefold. This is an album I've listened to maybe 3 times in my life. It's not a very good interview, informational type album. If you were a fan back in the early 60s, this was a fantastic must-have piece of material for you. But if you were not, then it was not, because it was just a lot of stuff that you already, right now, you know all this. It's on the internet. Alrighty, so again, we're on a Rainbow Capital label. Stuck them back in there. These double gate protectors are a little wonky, so I'm not going to take it back out. Sorry. Alright, this will be my Mono 65. It would be your front, and this would be your back for those who are not, and they know, or don't have internet. You can look all this up on the internet, but then, hey, you wouldn't get to watch my pretty good channel and hear me rant about record stores. I'm not going to do that. I'm just kidding. And this is a near mint copy as far as I'm concerned. That would be your label. First pressing. That would be your label. I took some records yesterday to a few stores and really found out just, you know. And one thing is a couple of the stores are ones that I visit frequently. This is my stereo copy. And So it's like somebody who visits your store and buys quite a bit of stuff from you. This would be near mint copy, label for it. And you would think they would say, man, you buy a lot of stuff from me. I'm going to give you a little bit better trade, sell-in value than I would just a normal person that walks in off the street. No, he could care less. I wanted to buy my stuff at the low price on the Discogs, and Discogs to me is not a good thing, but on the Discogs scale, so that they can mark it up for what is on the high end of the Discogs scale. And I know that from albums I sold before and it has some significant value. I got the low end offered. Took it for whatever reason. I guess there's a pressing I was desperate for to get from their store and trade to get a little bit more. And it goes on a wall, and then I see it, and it's at the high end of the Discog scale. I'm going to try to stay on my soapbox about that. I don't want to offend anybody, especially if anybody might be watching that owns a shop. But, yeah, that's just not right. This is my Stereo 65 Apple sleeve. This will be my model Early Beatles. Be your front, be your back. Somebody so kindly drilled a hole completely through it for me because they knew I wanted to make it into a keychain. I just ain't got around to it yet. Didn't go through the record, which is good. But the hole's pretty high up, so that would be why they missed it probably. And this is a near mint copy, first pressing. That's your label, and that is your other label. That would be my mono Early Beatles. I like the stuff on there. I like this album. Alright, this will be my stereo copy of all the pertinent info. All still the same. We did not look at the inner sleeve. Let's take a look. See if I have. I don't have inner sleeves on my Early Beatles. That means I had the wrong inner sleeves to start with, and I'm still looking for the correct one. I think it might be on blue for the last time. I think. And this is a near mint copy and some light surface scratching, which don't bother me because it doesn't affect the play. And you know who sees these records? Me. Nobody that I know or is that interested. You know, when they bring it up, they go, that's nice. So what they look like is purely my taste. Here we have Beatles VI. This would be the mono. This is the cover. And this would be your back cover. And let's see. I think this is a goldish inner sleeve. Oh, this is the transition sleeve. So in my Beatles VI, my mono, I have the capital transition sleeve, if I'm saying that word correctly. These were in some other records, but not all of them. And this is when Capitol was transitioning from one color sleeve into the next. They had these company sleeves in there, and this one has that. And this is the only one that I've come across that does have that sleeve in it. So I think that's pretty cool. That way I have a copy of what that looks like. I've seen it, pictures of them, but this way I have an actual one, which is pretty cool. And this is pretty much near mint. The label's got some fading on it. I think somebody cleaned it wrong or improperly or didn't care. And that's your labels. And I say that if you look at the bottom right there, you see that? It's only on the front side, not the back. So somebody's a little careless there with the, my guess is the cleaning of this record. Alright, this would be my stereo copy. And what's cool about this is it still has a shrink wrap on it. And it has this thing from the store that says this is code letter D, C sign, which meant back then some stores had a sign and it told you the prices of the album. And you would look on that code list to see what that was, and that would tell you how much this album was. And this has a sleeve, it does belong in it, which is kind of the goldish color. And when they switched from the blue, I believe that is what they went to. And again, the white was a transition sleeve. For whatever reason, they were using those for Capitol albums in this in particular time until they could get them switched over. Not just the Beatles, but of all the other Capitol signed on bands. This is your side A of the first pressing. That's pretty near mintish, and that is the B. It does have some weird marks on it, but I believe that these marks, and you're not going to be able to see them. Are you? No, you're not. But, so, sometimes people will put them in cheap plastic inner liners. And when they do, they will, that inner liner will react with the vinyl in a bad way, and it makes kind of a pattern on there that will not come off. Does not affect play, but it's just an excuse for a record store to tell you this album's worth $1 because it has those marks on there. This would be my stereo Apple. And this album originally was $4.97. Not too shabby for a Beatles album. We come to the soundtrack of Help. Most notable on here, this is the mono, is that there's credits that are wrong on here, or they're written wrong way. There's a couple that should be together and they're not together, they're separated. Nothing really exciting. The British albums have some pretty cool variants as far as albums and labels and stuff. American ones, it's just stupid stuff, spelling. And this is I think a fairly near mint copy of first pressing Help mono. And though I didn't pull it out, we should still be on the goldish rust color. Pronunciation, it's tough. My mono copy, by the way. A lot of the same stuff as you see on the other. Let's take a look at our inner. And our inner is the goldish rust, whatever color. This still is what we're using for Help. Stick that back in there. Like so. We'll take a look at the album, which is pretty much near mintish, I think. And that is the first pressing of Help for you, stereo. Alrighty. And let's see. Stereo, I have another copy of Help here, so I must have the Apple equivalent here. Yeah, I don't have all of them. I have about half of them. I need to look for the others because I would like to get them too with the orange labels and the purple labels. And this would be my Help stereo with the Apple on it. Let's see what sleeve is in here. I don't think I've looked at this sleeve before. This sleeve don't belong in here. Warner Reprise Lost Leaders. Yeah, so that's so we're filing that one because that's obviously not the correct sleeve. It should be plain sleeve, by the way. I believe the Apple records all came with plain inner sleeves. So that's obviously not right. That's for Warner Brothers, and like I said, it's not uncommon to find records, not just Beatles, but other bands where the inner sleeves do not match. Just seems to be the way it is. All right, so with Help, we're about halfway through-ish of my American Beatles albums, and I like to stay at a certain length so as I don't go on too long. And so we'll do one more video and finish up my American albums, and we'll take a look at my American singles, which are a little bit more exciting because of the fact that here in America, everyone had a picture sleeve, whereas in Europe, they had just a plain company sleeve on 99% of them. So it's kind of cool. We got picture sleeves. So I enjoyed that. And I looked at some yesterday. I think I've got one or two in my collection where when somebody bought them, they wrote the day that they bought it, the time that they bought it, and something else on there when they bought it. So it's like written on the actual sleeve, which it messes the sleeve up, I admit. But it's, bought on da-da-da-da-da at da-da-da-da time. Somebody's very happy and very precise about when they bought that Beatles single. Kind of neat, I think. Alrighty, so that's what I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you had a fantastic Christmas and a wonderful New Year. Hope this year brings many, many, many blessings upon you, especially Beatle ones. So we go out there in that world today because there's certainly not enough of it. Let's sprinkle a little bit of love on everybody because all you need is love. Well, air, water, food, and love. That's all you need. Oh, Beatles music. That's all you need. Do one kind deed for someone today if you can. Buy them a coffee. Smile at them. Your hair looks nice. I love that shirt on you. Whatever. You know, sometimes the littlest thing can mean the biggest thing to someone else. So as we go about our day, let's see if we can find one person to do a good deed for him. If nothing else, it makes ourselves feel better. My opinion. But anyway, thanks for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a like. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Comments are always welcome. I love comments. Even the one guy who chewed me out. It happens. But other than that, hey, it's awesome. So thanks for watching my channel. I appreciate you going forward into this year. Remember, if you're watching, I appreciate you watching very, very much so. If there's something you'd like to see or hear about it concerning Beatles or maybe something else, let me know and we'll talk about that. Other than that, have a good day. I'll see you next video. Thanks for joining me.